Hello, and welcome to this week's 5 Minute Faith. I am A. Williams, the Director of Educational Ministries at Williamsburg Presbyterian Church, and I'd like to talk a little bit today about something that came back up in my mind after being asked about it about a year ago. This is related to Genesis 37:28, which is whenever the traders come by and find Joseph in the pit and he gets sold for 20 shekels of silver and taken to be a slave in Egypt. One of the questions that I've gotten from a number of cohorts over the years revolves around the idea of what is the sin of the brothers? Is it simply that they were greedy and jealous and sold him into slavery, or is it something more? And with recent events, I'd like to talk about how I think it's something more. It's something that has to do with what it is to do wrong by not doing right. So we need to first get through the piece of historical context. The Midianites and the Ishmaelites might be two different groups of people. They might be one group of people, but regardless, they're interrelated because all the dependents and descendants of Abraham in that area would have been at the time. They have to have some point of cross relation. So, what is the sin of the brothers? The traditional umbrella tells us that jealousy causes them to seemingly value money over their brother's life. The problem with this is it doesn't fit the overall narrative. While jealous, the brothers never come across as greedy. If anything, they are fairly straightforward in wanting to care for their father and show him their love. And of course, they want to receive that love in return. If they wanted to get rid of the pesky brother while getting money in return, they wouldn't have worried about whether there would be blood on their hands in verse 27 just before this. So, if the sin isn't just he was sold into slavery, what is it? I think this is where things start to hit close to home. It is what we value that defines sin for us. The brothers do not value life, love, and mercy as much as they value power and place, as much as they value being loved by their father and being loved by their family, and they don't value it as much as they value winning and righteousness. Their sin is one of misplaced importance within their father's home. It's the same sin that Jesus speaks against when he questions the motives of the Pharisees and challenges the rich. It is the sin that says, I'm taking care of my stuff, and thus they should take care of theirs. It's a choice not to act and speak out about injustice in the world, not to take the risks to prevent future harm, but to just sit back and say, well, I can't really do anything about that. And that's what the brothers do in my interpretation. They don't pull Joseph out of the well. They don't sell or send him into slavery. It's third parties that do all of that. Maybe with them watching, maybe with their backs turned, maybe because while this means they did nothing to actually cause Joseph's fates, they still know that they left him trapped and allowed these acts to occur. We often speak about what we can and cannot control. Yes, there is much we truly cannot control that creates evil in this world. Yet we too often use the same excuse that the brothers do in this interpretation. We aren't part of the problem. We would have gotten him out eventually. We didn't cause his suffering. Did we? Would we? Are we? Think about it. This world is full of people in holes. People who are trapped due to circumstances beyond their control. And how often do we allow them to be taken away, harmed, used, enslaved by poverty or enslaved by depression, enslaved by their own desperation to be treated as equals and not treated as less. How many times do we see injustice and wish it to be no more, but then turn around and do nothing but look out for our own place and our own safety in the world, just to make sure it doesn't happen to us as well? How long will we go on living like Joseph's brothers, worrying about being righteous or safe or loved or good, but not actually doing the work to take care of our sister, brother, sibling, who our God, our Father who is in heaven, loves as much as me or you, who is made just as much in God's image as me or you, who is just as fully human as me or you? How long? How long will we continue to turn our backs? How many Josephs must we enslave before we learn that God is the God Joseph saw, the one who is for the least of these, the one who takes those enslaved and uses them to save those of us who think that we are righteous? Joseph's brothers might as well have thought Joseph dead. It wouldn't have mattered. Once he was gone, what exactly happened? Their hands were clean because they didn't do it. But in turning their back and looking away, they allowed a life to be lost, and God came and saved that life. And God used that life to save others. So often we look at the world and see loss and think that the story is over. Yet whenever we look at things that are lost and we see the injustice that caused that loss, then those lives can be the things that God uses to change this world. But we've got to do things that don't say we're right and someone else is wrong, or it doesn't say I have to take care of myself. God is love. We must love and help those in holes and pick them up and take them home to love, not leave them for a world that will enslave them and try then to claim that they had nothing to do with it and allow us to do the same. Our inaction is our sin. Even in these moments when we are separated from each other, we are called together to speak to injustice, to act, to create justice, and to lead all to the God who is love. Amen.